Every time I do one of these, I'm like, oh, what if this was a tour lineup? And it's like, yeah, I think the Mountain Goats and Drain would be a sick tour. Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music and our favorite artists' discographies. I'm Troy Sennett.
And I'm Matt Kistler.
And today we're continuing our Bright Eyes series with I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning, one of two albums that Bright Eyes released on January 28th, 2005. Is that right? Sometime in January. January 25th, 2005.
You were close.
Yeah. So this was released alongside Digital Ash in a Digital Urn. But we are covering both of these albums separately because they each are, proper albums and deserve their own deep dives. This is, I would say, my Bright Eyes album. This is the first one that really clicked for me, and it is. I think it was a special album the first time I heard it sometime in high school, and it remains a very special album today, probably even more so. What's your history with this album, Matt?
So I barely listened to this album at all when it came out. I chose Digital Ash in a Digital Urn as my my January 25th, 2005 Bright Eyes album of choice. I think partially because I could only afford to buy one CD at the time and picked that one. Presumably because it was like the weirder one. Also, like I was not like doing a lot of Americana or country type stuff back at this point in my life because I was late high school at this point. And I liked the weirder parts of Lifted a little bit more than the like more straight ahead like acoustic stuff. So like I kind of gravitated towards that more at the time. But I think not to spoil my feelings about the other album on this episode, but like I think I'm riding a lot harder for I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning now. Like it's pretty close to a perfect album, honestly, as it stands in my canon now.
Yeah, that's such a fascinating idea to like. I mean, it's a risk as an artist to put out two albums on the same day, but then like you said, I'm sure there were tons of kids at the time who were just like, well, I have enough allowance money or whatever from money from my job to buy one CD this week, and I gotta pick instead of today when it's like, well, Morgan Wallen's gonna put 35 songs on an album so that it streams better or whatever and generates more sales equivalent units or whatever they call it now. But like, yeah, like, I think this entire project is interesting because it is like you said, it's there were kind of two sides to Bright Eyes, and they would smash them together in interesting ways on the last three albums, and on these two they split down the middle and say like, let's make a folk record and let's make a weird electronic record. And it's, I think as an artist, they were both running a risk there by like kind of, people can't really engage with both, especially at the time. It's, the Napster era, the early iTunes era, but like, it's not like it was like it is today when it's easy to just stream them both. And on the other side, it's like, it obviously worked because you end up with an album like I'm Wide Awake that is kind of easily their most accessible commercial, sort of easy to listen to, easy to discover and get into album, and it is by far their most popular, best-selling, most renowned album, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the accessibility of it all is a very like big part of it, but I do feel like the kind of stripping back of like the kind of more, I hesitate to say experimental tendencies, but like experimental tendencies, let's be real. Like it really allows Connor to shine as a songwriter, which like we've been talking about the catalog thus far. Like obviously we already know that he is an incredible songwriter, but like not everybody sees that through all of the other stuff all the time. And this like kind of just lays it bare, which like this is like seriously like incredibly more popular than pretty much anything else he's done, which is a little sad to me because like I would think you would listen to something like this and be like able to go into the other albums, like kind of taking what you love about the songwriting on this and like looking through like maybe the stuff that you're a little less familiar with or like a little less attuned to or whatever on the other records and being like, oh yeah, like I can tell this is the same guy. I can extract a lot of meaning from this, a lot of things that I like from this, but sometimes you just want to listen to the songs you like, I guess.
Well, I mean, I was the person who heard this and went backwards, and
Yeah.
I found it extremely hard to go backwards in his discography, especially as or as a teenager or whatever. When and Connor talks about this in interviews. Mike Mogus talks about this in interviews. Throughout this podcast, I will often cite this Life of the Record episode that Connor and Mike were interviewed for earlier this year around the 20th anniversary of the album.
It's so good.
It's a really an amazing episode. I mean, I like that people are listening to our podcast, but like that's the real deal because it's just them talking about making the record.
Right.
But one of the things they talk about in it is that people perceived Bright Eyes as a folk band after this record came out, and like that isn't entirely what they were. There are many facets to their music, but like I said, going backwards, I found Lifted, Fevers and Mirrors, like really challenging records because they're so dense and they're so full of these sort of other sort of more obscure indie or kind of alternative influences and I wanted the folk stuff, and like there's folky songs on those records, and those are the ones that I obviously gravitated to then and still like honestly gravitate towards now, although I mean Lifted, obviously we talked about last week, just really grew on me recently, but yeah, I mean, and Digital Ash too, and I was like, oh, there's another one that came out on the same day, maybe that's the one I'll like, and I found Digital Ash a pretty challenging album too. Like the light, airy, folky quality of this album, I think is just exactly what I want in Bright Eyes, and as we get into Casadega in a couple weeks, you'll hear, I think the threads of what worked on this album are taken to a slightly different logical end, but like there's obviously a lot of this album and what he's doing on Casadega also, and so it looms throughout his career.
Yeah, for sure.
Some based on some interviews and some of the especially in Life of the Record, they get into what I think are kind of some interesting themes about this album, that it's sort of an album of movement and an album of renewal and rebirth, and that it's a New York record. So Connor, around this time, between Lifted and these two albums, moves to New York and is like just kind of bumming around the Lower East Side, hanging out with these like jazz folk scene, where he gets to know these guys, Jesse Harris and Tim Lunsell, who play on this record. And also like Jesse Harris, I think, wrote a lot of the big Norah Jones hits. And that scene, that like jazz and folk stuff, becomes a big influence on this. And it's just, it's weird to think of this as like a city album because it's so folky, but I think that juxtaposition of the city and modernity and technology with this like sparse folky instrumentation is one of the coolest things about this album.
Yeah, and I mean, in that interview, they kind of talk a lot about like this is Connor seeing the city as a Midwest transplant. And I think that's very obviously reflected in the approach that this album takes to talking about that stuff. In the context,
real relatable for me too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm a transplant to another Midwestern city, but a much bigger one than the one I grew up in, and so it's I think that was cool to hear them identify that, because I think that's something I was hearing in this album all along, even if I didn't know it.
Yeah, and it goes obviously pretty hard in the paint on sounding as folksy and country adjacent as possible, because we pull in people like Emmylou Harris on this record, which is a huge get
she's amazing.
Anybody in this scene, anybody who's picked up an acoustic guitar, honestly.
Yeah.
I loved in that interview that Connor was like, yeah, she was sitting next to me and I was listening to these takes, and she would turn to me and say, "Do you like it?" He's like, what? Even if I didn't, what am I supposed to say? Of course I love it. I'm
right.
Like, imagine being in that situation. I can't.
Yeah. I loved listening to Mike Mogus talk about how he felt about this album as a producer. And he talked about how it came together so easily, and like that he felt like he wasn't doing his job because it was so easy. And it was just because they were intentionally stripping back the like hallmarks of their production, their kind of like this intentionally distancing elements of their production and just try. And so it's most of these songs have like 4 or 5 parts, and a lot of them are played largely live with like the band just in a circle in a room, and maybe Mike would add an overdub of a banjo or something later, but they recorded this one fast, and the songs are just like the songs.
Yeah. And sometimes that's what a producer needs to do, is recognize that that's what it needs.
Exactly. He said he said he sent it to Jenny Lewis after it was done, and he like wasn't sure what she was gonna think of it, and she said that it was like, this is one of the best albums I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, I mean, she's right.
She's right.
I think she does know her stuff.
Yeah, it turns out Jenny Lewis taste.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the other kind of interesting thing to note is this Monsters of Folk, which I didn't realize this starts right around this time.
Yeah, I kind of not realized that myself.
Yeah, because the Monsters of Folk record doesn't come out for another like 5 years.
Right.
But I guess they started playing together around, so which makes sense. Like Jim James is on this album, is doing backing vocals also.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else generally there is to say about this album outside of it has obviously an enormous legacy. It was ranked on Rolling Stone's top albums of the decade list. It's routinely talked about as kind of one of the defining sort of emo folk crossover albums, maybe probably the defining one.
Oh yeah, I imagine that if you weren't like me back when this record came out and you were like, oh, this is intriguing, like that, you lean pretty hard into the influences that this record is taking from, and probably join a country band and make real money at that point. So I'm told.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get into the songs. This isn't a long album. That's actually maybe up front. That's what I'll say is transitioning into the songs. This is like the shortest Bright Eyes album, I think.
Yeah.
In part because a lot of the the fat that might have been there to trim on any other Bright Eyes album gets shoved off onto Digital Hash, if I'm just putting it in the bluntest way possible.
Sure, yeah, I get it.
And so what's left is 10 songs and in 44 minutes or whatever it is, and it's, I mean, there, I've quipped earlier in this series that I think Connor is proof that even the best writers need a good editor, and this is, even though editing in this case was splitting the songs up into 2 albums, it totally works here. It's the most concise Bright Eyes album, and it is all the better for it.
Yeah, hard agree.
So this starts off with At the Bottom of Everything, which is like any Bright Eyes album, does have a strange track 1 intro, which they semi-seriously, semi-jokingly always say is to put off casual listeners and make make people challenge people a little bit to get into the album. But this one is not a strange sound collage. This is just Connor telling a story about people on a plane that's crashing. And at one point I could have recited this entire thing from memory. I'd listened to it so many times.
Yeah, that I, having not like listened to this album in full in a little while prior to listening to it several times for this episode, I was like, oh yeah, this story, yeah, the one where they're going to a birthday party and we love you very much. Yeah, it's your birthday.
Yeah, and the song starts like diegetically in it, as the sing a little tune. It goes like this, which is very similar to what they did on The Big Picture, with it being a song on the radio or a song to pass the time in the interview. It's a trick they like, and I always like it. Yeah,
I like it a lot, and I not to like talk too much about the music video, although this is the most interesting one I think for this album. That music video, like it does all this stuff. Like it is pretty much literally telling the story of the song, including the story at the beginning, and like the song is happening like diegetically in the video as like the plane is going down.
Yeah, people are singing along to it and
getting tossed around by cotton clouds.
Yeah, it's the same artist who did the Bowl of Oranges video, so it's got a mix of live action and that like stop motion stitching sewn fabric art thing going on.
Yeah.
But the song itself is, I mean, just like a classic Bright Eyes song. it takes this sort of repetition of like starting every line with we must, which is in an interview Connor talked about that being like an easy songwriting technique because you just know how every line's going to start and then you just have to fill it in. But what he comes up with in the song I think is really great. There's a lot of standout lines here.
Yeah, I really agree. And like, yeah, I know it's easy for him, but like he makes it work so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like the choruses are like wild in their contrast. Like I know Bright Eyes does a lot of the classic like happy sounding song like horrifying lyrics, but like, you know, we get that chorus where it's while my mother waters plants, my father loads his gun, etc., etc. Like wild to put that in this song in particular, but also really fits the mood at the exact same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting into this. I mean, we talked a lot on Lifted about this recurring theme of the cycles of death and rebirth and renewal, and I think that is the core theme of this album. This, you know, every song basically has a reference to mourning or waking up or starting again. That, you know, that kind of renewal, and then I mean that first chorus that you cited is, you know, death will give us back to God just like the setting sun, and it's like it's all these different cycles, and I mean, and then it just, you know, is built on this idea of like there's all this stuff about the internet and technology and modern medicine and all this like the sort of the noise of the modern world, which I mean, I guess that's the what you get when you move to New York.
Yeah, for sure. Even though like it sounds like it was a by and large very positive experience for him, like that, yeah, that stuff is all also there.
Yeah. There was a line I wanted to cite that I love the we must rip all of the epilogues from out of books that we have read, which is just another, felt like another, you know, stories don't actually end, they just go on and on over and over again.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where like, you know, a thing that I mean, a thing that a lot of authors think about is like, yeah, the continuation of the story, and like the epilogue is sometimes a cheeky way of like skirting around that.
Right.
Like yes, you have to have an ending, even though like life does in fact go on unless you kill all your characters, which some people do.
Yeah.
But not everybody. But I do really love, you know, kind of coming out of the death will bring us back to God bit, where we go, just like the setting sun is return to the lonesome ocean, and then we immediately come back to the story that we started off the song with, whereby they plunge into the ocean, and then the song continues, implying that maybe everybody's fine or we're experiencing a lot of time in a very short moment. Probably the latter, but
yeah, I mean, you can kind of see the plane crash idea as this like as like society is, you know, plummeting in its way. I don't know if I quite buy that, but that's certainly one way you could look at it.
yeah, I could see it.
And then yeah, after that we get to We Are Nowhere and It's Now. And you know, this is the full band is in here, and this is the first song to feature Emmylou Harris, which we mentioned her a bit ago, and she's, I think, just an essential part of this album's sound.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine these songs without her, and I'm sure like it sounds like, you know, Connor and Mike can't imagine that either. I like they said that she agreed to sing on the album because either her niece or daughter or someone was a fan of the band and convinced her to do it, which is cool. They didn't rehearse. She didn't send any what she was going to do. They just showed up and found a studio in Nashville and recorded her, and she just like obviously had knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, there was I feel like I'm not sponsored by Stereo Gum, obviously, but I have mentioned them, I think, on every episode we've done of this series. But in the retrospective, the author, whose name is escaping me right now, said something along the lines of the group of, or there's a cluster of songs that she sings on, where she, quote, loosely shadows the vocal melody like a lip reader mimicking her subject in real time, which is such a, like, I would say, accurate way of describing what she's doing on a lot of these songs, but it works so well, because like there's that ever so slight delay between Connor and her, and like she's not like trying to mimic his like vocal affect at all, like when he warbles or anything. So like it's just this like beautiful contrast.
Yeah, I always so this is a thing that Connor would do this when he was doubling his own vocals on the earlier albums, where he would just kind of like not try to sing in time with himself, and it's this really cool effect, and it's you can hear the idea that he hears in his head there. But the way that Emmylou Harris does it singing on, I hear it's Landlocked Blues is the song that I always think of as like the definitive version of this, which I mean on our own album, on the Long Way Home record, I like use that as a reference point for Lisi's vocals, because I just think it's a great effect, and it feels more live, and it's perfect.
Yeah, for real.
Jason Boswell from Rilo Kiley plays drums on this song and a handful of songs on this album. And he apparently is the one who kind of found the right groove and feel for it.
Yeah, because Connor was saying that it was like kind of really slow before he was brought in, and he like really helped this song find its groove. And also was very long as a result.
Right, I could see this song dragging a bit if it wasn't kind of propelled by the drums the way it is.
Yeah.
This is the first occurrence of the yellow bird image that occurs on at least a couple songs on this album. This idea of which I guess kind of symbolizes sort of the potential for peace or happiness or healing.
Yeah, I saw some like interpretations of like yellow bird specifically being a canary and all of the connotations that come with that. But I think that might be a little more consistent in terms of the way that it's used on this album.
Yeah. Then after that is Old Soul Song for the New World Order, a song that Connor describes as the political touchstone of the record. I think, of all the sort of elements of this album, the politics of it really, like Lifted, is like sneakily a very political album, I think. This one is not sneaky at all about it. This is like literally a song about attending an anti-war protest. And sort of all the experiences and the sensations and the feelings that go along with that.
Yeah, and in this case, possibly his first like real big one, because he was talking in that interview about how maybe unsurprisingly in Omaha in like the 90s and 2000s, not a lot of that going on.
Not a lot of large scale marching.
Yeah. No, not really.
But yeah, I think the sort of the arc of the song, the imagery of it is great. I love the I held your camera like a Bible, just wishing so bad that it held some kind of truth. Is my favorite line in the, well, maybe it's not even my favorite line in the song. One of my favorite lines in the song.
Definitely, yeah.
This idea that it gets into this idea that this running theme of the album, I think of modernity and how like the camera used to be able to say that the camera doesn't lie, but now it's possible for the camera to lie, and it lies all the time. And whether that's, just a literal, like every image can be doctored, or a more metaphorical, the mainstream news doesn't show you the whole story. I think it's a really elegant way of saying that.
Yeah. It also like, it could be even more literal in that like this is a point in our history where like digital photo, well, like I don't actually know what the like laws are around this now, but I know around this time I was like specifically told, I think in a photo class, that digital photos were not, at least at the time, admissible as photo evidence because they could be doctored.
I mean, there's no way that's true anymore, but I believe I heard that too.
Yeah. I don't know like what the verification like process is like around that to make sure that something hasn't been futzed with. Obviously there's some deep down like stamping going on, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I know that like some news organizations and stuff, their photographers have to submit their raw files,
right?
Which that's kind of the best way to show that they have not been altered in any way. But that's a digression. That's
yeah. Sorry, don't mean to do that. But
no, it's good. It's good. The other thing I really like in the song is the sort of last little stanza. I see some flowers on a hillside like a wall of new TVs. I've always just been fascinated with that lyric because the way that you usually do a simile like that is to compare like the new, the modern, the technological thing to the nature, like, oh, these TVs reminded me of all these flowers, but to invert it, it makes the more modern technological thing be just like the thing that is everyone knows about and is accepted, and that it makes the flowers feel like the novel, strange, interesting thing that you're trying to describe to someone. And I think that is just a fascinating way to express that idea.
I had that exact same thought earlier today. It serves the dual purpose of kind of conveying that feeling, and also flows really nicely into They Go Wild, kind of pulling you back into like what would be the like normal way of doing it, is like we are looking at this synthetic thing at the end of this comparison, but we are drawing it back to nature by implying that it has gone wild. Gone wild is a really loaded phrase in this year,
2005.
but you know what I mean. Yeah, or 2005, yes. Honestly. But you know what I mean. It kind of ebbs and flows back and forth between the like kind of different ways of looking at it, and I think that's really neat.
Yeah, it's a great song.
It is a great song.
Then after that is Lua, which is one of the sort of definitive songs from this album, I think. This is just a ballad, Connor by himself, with just a guitar, and I think that was an intentional choice in the according to Mike Mogus, to have the production sort of match the loneliness of the song, because this is a song that's very much about the lonely hollowness of drugs and fleeting relationships.
Yeah. I do remember him mentioning also that like in ways though that it is also a song about togetherness, and that's like kind of why in further versions of this song we get like a lot of collaborations happening, like the First Aid Kit and Dawes collab that happened, which is great, by the way.
That version of it is so good.
But anyway, that said, this version on this album is really great. I really think it is served by being so sparse as it is on this CD record, what have you.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those songs where I'm just like, as I'm listening to it, I'm just like copying lyrics out into my notes. I'm like, well, that lyric rules, that lyric's perfect. Yeah, like you said, it's a lonely, quiet song, but also like sort of fundamentally he's with people, but he's alone while he's with people. I don't know. Every stanza ends with this like morning or evening morning dichotomy that obviously plays into the themes of the album. But it makes mourning less about rebirth and renewal and more about revealing the hollowness and the sadness.
Yeah. You get and it's so like the language about it is so like not flowery, in order to convey that, like what's so easy in the evening by the morning such a drag, what was normal in the evening by morning seems insane. Like normally a Conor Oberst lyric would like maybe be a little more embellished than that, but like it really like drives home the point on this song.
Well, one of the things he talks about in the Life of the Record interview is that the lyrics are less embellished and obscured generally on this album, which he sees as like, whether that was sort of an intentional idea going into the writing of this album or not, he sees it as like, that's probably why this album is our most popular record, because it's the one that's most easily relatable and most immediate to listeners.
Yeah.
I have my copy of the Lua EP, which was like released before this album, with Lua and a few B-sides. And the CD itself has, instead of one of the lyrics or, the name of the band or anything, it just says, "The morning is my evening, the moon is my friend," which I like a lot.
I love that.
I don't know what else to say about the song. It's great. It's, if not for First Day of My Life, this would probably be the defining song of this era of Bright Eyes.
Yeah, it is like, just kind of given the subject matter and like kind of the bluntness of it, it is wild to me that it was as popular as it is. Like it is pretty, obviously, but it's one of those songs where like I'm sure like had it been a bigger hit than First Day of My Life, or in a world where First Day of My Life doesn't exist, I can see it being featured in many like articles and listicles and TV specials. Like, yeah, isn't it wild that we liked this song so much? It's about dying of an overdose.
Oh, I mean, it made its own. It made its fair share of listicles. It's on the Rolling Stone 100 Best Songs of the 2000s thing. So yeah, it's gotten its flowers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. It like I've said this I think before on this podcast, but as a Tidal user, I have no like real gauge of how popular any given song is, because Tidal early on was like not like really used by many people at all, and still isn't. So like Lua was the top song for Bright Eyes when I like went in to listen to this to all the stuff for this series thus far. I think First Day of My Life has since somehow taken the top spot, which might be my fault. I don't know. Dead
You just
internet
have it
theory,
play on
but it's
repeat.
Tidal this time. I do listen to that song a lot.
It's a great song.
It's a great song, as we will talk about later on.
We'll get to it in a minute, but first we got to talk about Train Underwater.
Also a great song.
Kind of the New Yorkiest song of this very New York album.
Right.
It just is a song kind of about bumming around the Lower East Side in this general aimlessness, and it feels like a very post 9/11 song. Like there's sort of this looming specter of the end of the world that seems like it's on his mind as he's taking the L train.
Yeah, just these constant it opens up with "You were born inside a raindrop, I watched you falling to your death." Like that's one of the most post 9/11 images you can get. And then like we kind of constantly refer back to this raindrop idea, and I think it happens a couple more times on this album, and whether or not it is intended to have that same weight to it later on, it feels like it does.
Yeah, I mean, and it gets to the world waits for an explosion. This the idea of like a small individual death like a raindrop versus like contrasted with the end of the entire world is kind of a running theme.
Yeah.
This is a big one for, again, Tim Lunsell and Jesse Harris, who played on the record, the kind of jazz folk guys. This I don't know that I had ever identified that before, but hearing Connor talk about that, it was like, oh yeah, absolutely. It totally, like, I can hear the connection back to like the Norah Jones style stuff all over this song.
Yeah, well, one of my notes on kind of the general feel of this song is like, it's full band, but it also somehow feels quieter than Lua in a lot of ways, or like on par with it in terms of like its not energy level, but like how in your face it is, which is an accomplishment. Yeah, it's very intimate. Yeah, exactly.
I love the I sing glory from my lowest, I sing glory from a high rise. Both little plays on the classical hymn construction, like sing glory in the highest.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
That is good stuff.
Yeah, I love I was a postcard, I was a record, I was a camera until I went blind. Just I think a similar thing to what we were talking about in Old Soul Song, this idea of like these very modern ways of expression just get they don't hold up.
Yeah. I especially like that verse is highlighted by kind of everything except for the vocals and the bass dropping out. That's a real nice touch. But yeah, I love that verse.
Yeah, it's another great song. There's not a bad song on this record. I could just say that about every single song. It's great.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just blanket statement from here forward. All these songs are good. None of them are even close to mediocre or bad.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually say this is where this is the midpoint of the album. The back half of the album, starting with First Day of My Life, is straight up perfect. Like not a single note I would change about the rest of this record. Not that I would change a whole lot about the first half of the record either, but this album has one of the best side Bs of any album ever.
It is truly exceptional. Like it's wild. And like it's one of those things where like I was thinking the other day, I was like man, like the pairing of Poison Oak and Road to Joy is just so perfect. And then I'm like, but Landlocked Blues is so fucking good too. Oh man, but another traveling song comes before that, and this First Day of My Life. That whole B-side, real good. Turns out.
Yeah, But yeah, I mean, so First Day of My Life is like the definitive song from this album. My pet metric of using Genius views as a general gauge of song popularity. This has like over 100,000 more views than the second most popular song on the album, which is Lua.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, this is a love song, and it's kind of the loveliest love song that Connor has ever written. It's sort of out of character for him in a way. But it is a beautiful song.
Apparently, when Tim Kasher heard this for the first time, he said, "That's the best song you've ever written."
Yeah,
like pre it getting recorded, which I think Connor was a little taken aback by. It seemed like based on that interview, but also like, come on, like you play a song like this, of course it's gonna hit people, right?
Right. I mean, and like they talk about this has become like a sort of wedding anthem. I mean, I played this at our friend Jake's wedding.
Yeah.
It is endured, I think, both, like I said, as like a wedding song and just in general. It's I don't know if you saw that Rolling Stone just put out a new list of the best 500 or 250 or whatever songs of the 21st century so far. And this was ranked number 225, so it's up there.
Dang, okay.
I don't know if there's any lyrics or specific things you want to call out about the song. I just think it's kind of perfect.
I do think it's kind of perfect to the point of it being a wedding song. I think Mike mentioned in that interview that it was like number 2 on a list at some point in the like 2010s or something like that.
Someone tried to quantify the most popular wedding songs.
Yeah, and it was that Jason Mraz song and then this, which, you know what, I believe it.
Yeah, go for it.
I do want to point out the line that seems to be like kind of weirdly contentious. The I'd rather be working for a paycheck than waiting to win the lottery.
Oh, you mean the best song on the album? Or sorry, the best line on the song?
Yeah, no, it brings everything, like the whole song. Yes, it is a love song. It is a beautiful love song. I get teary most every time I hear this song, and I've heard it a lot of times. But I think part of what makes it so effective for me is like how, like, I mean, we've talked before about how like Connor will like usually like tint positivity with like either realism or straight up pessimism. I feel like this song strikes a real great balance with that, in that, like, you know, he does point out his own flaws in this song. These things take forever. I especially am slow. That line in particular is very much like the like, yeah, sure, you know, perfect unadulterated love probably exists somewhere for someone on this earth full of billions of people, but like most people have to like make an effort, like a conscious effort to love the person that they're with, and sometimes it's going to be a challenge, and that's part of what makes it rewarding. That's just part of life in general in any relationship, like not even necessarily just romantic ones, but that doesn't get talked about all the time in songs, especially not songs that get played at people's weddings.
Yeah, I mean, but that's probably why it became such a hit in that way. Like it's that little dose of realism that makes it feel not like a fairy tale, because it's not. Like it's so good.
It doesn't feel saccharine, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, even though certain lines in it could be construed that way, like you know, yours is the first face that I saw, or I feel like I was born right in this doorway. Like those are the kind of lyrics that like in the wrong context are like overly saccharine. But then the way that he tempers it with the realism of it, it's it makes it a very I don't know, it's a very affecting song.
Yeah.
Did you watch the music video for this one?
I did. I liked it a lot.
It's a really sweet video.
It's so sweet.
It's just people listening on headphones to the song, and sometimes they're couples and they're cuddling, sometimes they're just single people staring at the screen. There's a dog, a woman's putting the headphones up to her pregnant belly. It's so good.
It is. It's so great. There's a family at some point.
$7 to make.
It almost assuredly cost almost no money to make, because they definitely filmed that in someone's actual apartment.
Yeah. I had never seen any of these videos before, but I really liked that one.
Yeah. just to mention, the only other song that had a video aside from the ones that we've mentioned so far is Lua, and it's kind of been scrubbed from official channels, it seems. It's just Connor playing the song in a bus stop.
Yeah, not that exciting.
Yeah, so that's why it didn't come up for anybody out there keeping score.
Making sure we cover every single bit of Bright Eyes Ephemera.
Yeah, of course.
Next up is another traveling song, which is this kind of, I literally had rollicking in my notes, and then in the interview they make fun of the word rollicking to describe the song, so I can't say that anymore. But
Connor said that only music critics use that word, and I'm like, that's the word that I use to describe this song, dude.
It just fits so well. I mean,
it does.
It's fast and kind of loud and ruckus, and it's got this great organ part in it and a really fun drum groove. We mentioned this on the Letting Off the Happiness episode, that I assume that when he says another traveling song, the original one he's referring to is June on the West Coast. Because I don't know. I think there are some melodic similarities here, and I don't know what other song quite fits the bill in the way that those two do. I think they pair together really nicely.
I think they do, yeah. In the interview, it kind of got framed as like, yeah, there are a lot of traveling songs out there, so this is just another one. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think you might be a little more self-referential than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's another song with a lot of, like everything on this album, a lot of references to the morning. You got Cities at the Break of Dawn. I love the line, the nothing in the past or future ever will feel like today. Just this, like, the most in the moment you can be, and it almost reminded me of the moments on Lifted where they reference specifically the idea of being lifted out of the cycles of renewal and rebirth and achieving a bit of a transcendence there.
Yeah. We get a real good woo on this song too. not to point out basically non word lyrics, but it's good times.
The ending of the song is so cool. There's this really, like, kind of off-kilter guitar and piano soloing, smashing into each other thing going on. It's a moment of production that I really liked. I mean, obviously Mike Mogus is very not critical of his own production, but just a little like he just feeling like he didn't have to do much on it. But I felt that's a moment where I was like, oh, that's a good producer moment right there to make those things hit in the way that they do.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's no way it would ever have ended up like that without Mike Mogus.
Yeah. My friend Mike, not Mike Mogus, another Mike that I went to college with, I remember playing a very rousing cover of this song at a show we played together. And not that matters to anyone else who's listening to this, but it's one of my, like, core memories with this song is hearing his band cover it.
Oh, I love that.
Then we get Landlocked Blues, which is my favorite song on this album, contender for my favorite Bright Eyes song. It's just something about feeling trapped in the middle of the country, about a relationship slowly falling apart, and just being surrounded by the news, the changing world, everything about it is just all adds up to something perfect to me.
Oh yeah, no, it's a incredibly well constructed song just in general. This song is perfect. Like there's no denying it. It's the, we get the classic, like, Bright Eyes set of vignettes that all tie together really well, even though, like, if you, like, took one from, like, the beginning of the song and one from, like, the, like, 3/4 of the way through the song, you'd be like, I'm not really sure how these connect, like, but hearing them all flow, it's like, oh yeah, no, these are all the same mood. And it's got the songwriting trick we've already talked about, which is, like, every verse ends with a, like, particular construction, like, not quite as obvious as, like, some other songs, but, like, it all slots together really well. Like,
yeah,
it's just
it's using that repetition in the same way that Lua is. And but also doing enough variation within itself that it doesn't feel repetitive. Like, I mean, in the interview, Connor's like, I thought maybe the song had too many verses, that it was too long, it was too Bob Dylan-esque or whatever, but I feel like every word of this song is, like, necessary. There's no fat to trim on this one. I guess just to call out a couple of, we talked a little bit about Emmylou Harris on the song already. What she adds to it is perfect. Just a couple of lines that are so good on it. The world's got me dizzy again. You'd think after 22 years I'd be used to the spin. That one, I mean, it hit when I was 22 and it hits a lot now still.
Yeah. Of course it does.
Yeah. And just there's another one that a box full of suggestions for your possible heart is so good. We made love on the living room floor with the noise in the background from the televised war. I'm just going to do the thing where I just read all the lyrics to the song because I love them all so much. But I guess just the way that it adds up to this, like, it's a little bit political commentary and a little bit commentary on celebrity and fame and a little bit just like this feeling of aimlessness that you get when you're in the middle of the country and you feel like you're far from everything that's happening and you feel like you aren't, you're a stranger whenever you do come home. Just every feeling in the song hits for me.
Yeah. I think for me the like kind of the standout is the kind of most directly political verse, which is the one that comes like right before that like instrumental bridge. The if you're still free, start running away because we're coming for you. Like that's like, again, like Connor, especially like in this era, not very like subtle about how he feels about wars and whatnot, especially wars that were happening in 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
But like that set of lines really has always stood out to me. We also get that really good riff on taps from Nate Walcott at the end there, which is just inspired.
A little bit, they like play it off as like it's a musical joke, but I think it actually is so fitting with the bits of the song that are about the war and the military. Like I think it makes a lot of sense.
It absolutely does.
Did you listen to the demo or early version of the song that was on Saddle Creek 50?
Yeah, I did. I need to scroll down to where I had my notes on that because I put.
Yeah, I mean it's just like Connor with an acoustic guitar, and then presumably Mike Mogus added some pedal steel over it. Like it's an even more sparse version of an already sparse song. But it's an interesting to hear that take on it. I think the album version is like fully improved.
I also
banjo, not pedal steel. That's the Poison Oak demo.
Yeah, it's that banjo solo is good. Also, I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I will say, like, no shade. I'm glad they changed the name from One Foot in the Front of the Other to Landlocked Blues because that's a much better title.
Landlocked Blues is a great title. And then we get to Poison Oak, which is a real downer of a song. Song about a cousin of Connor's who committed suicide. And sort of their childhoods together, and so it's this sort of both nostalgic look at their childhood and also just like the heartbreaking sort of not quite biography but sort of vignettes, references to his cousin's life and just kind of the way it was sort of culminating with his funeral and kind of remembering him, and it's another incredible song.
Yeah, this one hits, and obviously that is partially due to the lyrics. It's definitely like the overall songwriting is contributing to that. To your point, there is the demo of this song that is just the acoustic and pedal steel, which I think is really, really great. But I do think when the whole band kicks in on the I'm a single cell on a serpent's tongue, that's such a huge moment on this whole record for me. Like it hits every single time, no matter how many times I throw this song on. Obviously that whole segment of the song kind of terminating in my clothes are soaking wet from your brother's tears, because Connor was living with his cousin who was the brother of the person that the song is about. Is just God, it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah. I was young enough. I still believed in war. Just another great lyric from the song. I think the last bit of this song is a lyric. I don't know if this is like, I'm sure it's cited as many people's favorite Bright Eyes lyric, but it's one that I think about all the time. And when I press the keys, it all gets reversed. The sound of loneliness makes me happier, which is this sort of like almost an explanation of why people love Bright Eyes so much and relate to these songs so much. You always think it's like, why do you love sad music so much? It's like, well, sometimes the sound of loneliness does make you happier.
Yeah, I not to make jokes during this very serious song, but I did write down that this should have absolutely been one of my away messages back in the day.
I mean, it probably was one of mine.
I assume it was. I think maybe one of the most loaded lines in this song is the where is it? And I'm glad you got away, but I'm stuck out here. Like that first half is like, I'm sorry, hold on, hold on, let's back up a second. I think it kind of just raises the complicated feelings that people have about suicide and you know, the lives that people leading up to choosing to end their own life. And it's very weird that that's summed up so succinctly. But I don't know.
Yeah,
That line hits pretty hard too.
It reminds me of what's the Spanish love song's lyric? As I look it up, life is long enough. Didn't think you'd speed it up. Feel selfish that we still want you alive. Like,
Yeah,
it feels like it's evoking a similar idea.
That I feel like they have the same energy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get the in the bridge of the song is the return of the yellow bird motif. With I never thought this life was possible. You're the yellow bird that I've been waiting for. Just this like this symbol of because I think Connor sees in his cousin's life like a sort of beauty, a sort of there's some youthful innocence, but this idea that that like all the tragedy, there's also some hope in there.
Yeah, a desire to be oneself that can't be met. Yeah, I don't want to speculate about like this person's life, so like that's why I'm not like mentioning some other stuff in this song.
Right, but it's the imagery is in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Really, truly a great song.
And then we get to the album closer, Road to Joy, which is obviously a riff on the title and the melody from Beethoven's Ode to Joy, but played over like this pounding 4 on the floor kick drum. And this song just rocks.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Yeah, it really is. I feel like I'm making a connection here that probably doesn't actually exist, but one of my favorite things about this song is that it is obviously a riff on Ode to Joy, but like I think I mentioned this. I forget what song this was in where Connor was like referencing a like traditional song. I think it was "You Are My Sunshine." I forget which song it was on. It was one of the earlier albums.
Hawaii, maybe, I don't remember. Yeah,
maybe. But anyway, like doesn't incorporate the melody. So I feel like I've started to attribute a like Bright Eyes interpolations are never going to be 100% on thing, which is what I love about the way that they handle like interpolating Ode to Joy in here, because like I played I was like sitting on the couch like futzing around on guitar, and I played the melody from this and the melody from like that section of Beethoven's Ninth back to back, and I'm like, these have the same notes. They have a similar like melodic like movement. They have similar rhythms, but like they're not the same thing at all. They're in fact kind of far apart.
Yeah.
But like it's still it's cool how it still is like very like you hear that and you're like, oh, I've heard this before. But yeah, I love that like particular like handling of doing an interpolation. I think it's really neat.
Yeah, and I mean lyrically you get the sort of the final reference to morning on this album, but it's not a like you'll be okay in the morning. It's the sun came up with no conclusions. Like it's even though the idea of morning and a new day is as renewal and as hopeful as throughout this album, it's still like it doesn't solve everything. You still have to live. And then the song gets into this more political commentary, more critique of religion or of like religious purity, I guess, or religious hypocrisy. And then you get to my favorite lyric in I think I've said like 4 lines on this record are like my favorite Bright Eyes lyric, but the could have been a famous singer if I had someone else's voice. Failures always sounded better. Let's fuck it up, boys. Make some noise. Is it's so good.
Yeah, that verse is the one. With the possible exception of the first verse, which is also the last verse.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I just completely skipped over the you want to fight a war that's over nothing. It's best to join the side that's going to win. I don't know. This is just one of those songs where every line, every image is everything that it evokes, just kind of sums up the themes of the album perfectly.
Yeah, no, like we've already said that every song on the B side of this album is perfect, so it probably doesn't need to be repeated. But like, in terms of closing tracks, like this does the thing that I want closing tracks to do, which is effectively like be the concluding paragraph of the record, if the record was an essay or whatever.
Yeah, and sends you off in a way that makes you keeps you thinking about the themes, doesn't necessarily like wrap up everything perfectly.
Yeah, exactly.
God, the way Connor just like howls those last verses, it's so good.
Oh my god. Well, like, yeah, we do the classic like word painting thing too, like coming out of "Let's fuck it up, boys, make some noise," and then it just gets real noisy for a while.
Yeah.
Even more so on another version of this song that we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, just the way that "Last I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning" is howled is like, it's so great. So great. It leaves the record on an incredible note.
Yeah, it's I got no notes.
Yeah, no notes. Perfect song. Perfect album.
Yeah. So there are a handful of sort of B-sides and other things from this era. We mentioned the Lua single, which came out a couple months before the album and has a few B-sides on it. We don't have to hit every single one of these individually, but anything you want to specifically mention from that EP?
I liked Well Whiskey a lot. I just thought
it's real country.
It's real country. And also like the line "I get my whiskey from a well" is just, that's literally what happens. But a lot of people I don't think about that when they order well drinks. But yeah, for that one I mostly just have like some lines picked out, but I do also love the organ on that song.
It's really good.
I just think it's a fun little rowdy country bluegrass jam. It's a good time.
Yeah, I don't know that it would like fit on the album, but it's not
I don't
bad.
think so. It feels adjacent enough, but
yeah, I can see how it came from the same sessions, but I think it would not really fit on the album. I woke up with a song in my head this morning, and if that wasn't a cover, I would be like raging that it wasn't on the album.
Right, yeah, for sure. True Blue sounds like a White Stripes song to me.
Yeah, I don't like True Blue. It's like
that's fair.
All right, the lyrical conceit of it gets really grating by like the second verse.
Sure, yeah, that's one of those long songs that feels long.
Oh my god, it feels twice as long as it actually is. But yeah, I mean, this is another case where I think they just picked the right songs from these sessions.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and then there's this split with Neva Denova, which actually came out early. It came out in 2004. That is it's sort of a collaborative effort, I think. Any particular songs you liked on this one?
I really liked "I'll Be Your Friend" mostly for the sax solos.
Yeah.
I really actually honestly I liked all of these songs a lot. They don't super feel like of this era necessarily. They do feel like something that happened in between Lifted and this set of albums that we're talking about this week and next week. Cuz like we get some like Happy Accident is like kind of full blown rock in a lot
Happy Accident,
which is not
rules.
something that he really does.
It's so fuzzy. Well, so Happy Accident and I Know You were only on the 2010 reissue, which I was trying to confirm this, and you didn't have time to, I just couldn't figure it out. I wonder if those songs were recorded later, because those songs, especially I Know You, feel like more like People's Key.
Yeah, I that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah, but no, I love Happy Accident. That one is something I would go back to a lot.
Yeah. Spring Cleaning is also cool because it is I say cool, talking about a bummer of a song. But it's a continuation of Amy and the White Coat, apparently, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can guess how much of a bummer it is by the fact that the song that it continues is also a huge bummer.
Right. And that one's not even performed by, Bright Eyes. That's more sung by the Neva Denova vocalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last thing I think that's sort of this, sort of era non-Digital Ash division is When the President Talks to God. which was a free download on iTunes or in early 2005, and then was the B-side to the First Day of My Life single, and then was the song that Connor played when he went on Jay Leno in sometime in 2005.
Classic Bright Eyes move.
Yeah, just a good old-fashioned protest song. I think the song rocks. This after, because I had mentioned that I had heard Going for the Gold and probably some other Bright Eyes songs. When this came out, this is when it clicked for me. I was like, oh, this is the Bright Eyes thing. I love this.
I have so much love for this song. This is one that I did love a whole lot back in the day, because you better believe I downloaded this for free off iTunes. I absolutely love this song. It is like one of the canonical like Bush era protest songs for me. Alongside like the run of Rise Against albums that happened in the mid 2000s. A band that I won't talk about because one of their members is a huge and utter creep. But their
not
name starts with anti. Not Rise Against. Different band that wrote political punk songs around this time.
I don't know. I had never, not like I was unfamiliar with protest music, but like this one is so direct and so like biting and incisive that it did feel like I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could write a song
right.
that was just this straightforward and have it work this well.
Yeah. Well, and it feels so off the cuff in a way that I'm sure it's not, because like Connor's obviously like pretty careful about writing things. But like it's just so it's in the tradition of I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning, in that it is very plain spoken, even more so, I would argue, than most of the songs on I'm Wide Awake. Does he even smell his own bullshit is a great line. But the one other thing that I constantly think about to this day is anytime anybody ever says I doubt it, or I'm about to say I doubt it, I say it the way that he says it at the end of this song.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's good. I mean, and this like kind of comes out of he kind of talks about he was doing a lot of like this Vote for Change tour around this time, or around like the 2004 election, where he was touring with REM and Bruce Springsteen, and I think this that kind of tradition of protest music, like Springsteen does that a lot, especially kind of led to this song.
Yeah, I not to cite the interview like one more time on this podcast, but I love that he was like, yeah, kind of hard to just drum up enthusiasm for John Kerry, but we tried.
Yeah, and I mean, like, in retrospect, especially, like it's.
God, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, a great song, an essential part of me becoming a Bright Eyes fan.
Oh yeah, same.
Then yeah, let's see, when did the companion EP for this come out? That was another 2022 one, I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the companion EPs for I'm Wide Awake and Digital Ash are an interesting pair, because obviously the albums have sort of opposite musical stylings and tones. And so for the companion EPs, the songs for the Digital Ash companion are done sort of in the style of I'm Wide Awake, and vice versa. So this I'm Wide Awake companion takes a few of the best songs on this album and really puts them through the electronic drum machine sort of dark toned ringer. Do you like any of these?
Okay. I will say I do like We Are Nowhere and It's Now. I think that version is actually pretty good.
Yep, I agree. That's the only one that works.
I don't mind Old Soul Song. I don't think it's great. I think they do some like kind of fun things. And I can see why it opens this. Because We Are Nowhere and It's Now absolutely couldn't. And if you opened with The Mangling of First Day of My Life or Road to Joy, I would cry. I don't think the First Day of My Life treatment is bad, but I also don't think it's good at all. So
yeah, I mean, like it's the thing. I understand the impulse to do this. I get what they're doing, and they sound like Digital Ash songs. But like, as we'll see next week, the Digital Ash Companion has one of my favorite Bright Eyes songs ever, because it takes a song that I think is a little bit stifled by its arrangement and turns it reveals the perfect song that was underneath it. Whereas this just obscures the perfect songs that were already there with these arrangements that I don't think are really that great. I mean, the Road to Joy one is crazy, and in that way, it's kind of cool and interesting.
I like that it gets like I love that the noisy part is noisier.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part of that one. I did write this sounds like a remix derogatory on that one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I should mention that I feel like Landlocked Blues is kind of treated similarly to We Are Nowhere and It's Now, and therefore works pretty good. But like it's nowhere near as good as the original.
Oh my god!
Version, so whatever.
I get like 1 minute into this companion version of Landlocked Blues and just completely tune out or turn it off. I like cannot listen to it. I hate it so much.
I get it. I totally understand.
Yeah, this is again cool idea, but I think it's there was no other thing they could do with this companion version. Like you kind of had to try this, but not for me.
I think I think what we're getting at here is when the electronics are more minimal, it's better. And I think that principle could have been followed through the whole thing. And it would have been a lot more. It would be less. The swings would be like less wild, but I think that would make it work better, which is a thing that I rarely say.
Right. Yeah. So that's all of I'm Wide Awake It's Morning, I think. Do you have a random recommendation for this week?
I do, and it's a thing that we talked about at length yesterday. For context, Troy and I are in a movie club with a bunch of our friends, and we watch movies and then talk about them. It's kind of like a book club. But the most recent one we watched was selfishly my pick that I ended up liking a lot despite having never seen it before, and it is the 2019 adaptation of Little Women, directed by Greta Gerwig. I'll keep this short. It's kind of just perfect. I love that movie a lot. I will be rewatching it often now that I've seen it once after being told by a lot of friends that I would in fact love it. Yeah, I don't know. I just think I've never read the book for context, but I do think it is a very interesting take on what I do know of that book. Troy, we talked about how you have not finished that book on a couple of occasions.
Multiple times.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I'm slowly maybe discovering that I might just like Greta Gerwig a lot, which is not uncommon, I don't think.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I looked back at my Letterboxd reviews for all of her like solo directorial films, which is really just 3 films at this point, but all of them are 5 stars for me. So I might be like Travis Kelce in that Greta Gerwig is my favorite director. Who can say?
Yeah, I mean, co-signed everything that you said. That movie is perfect.
Yeah, go watch it if you haven't, but you probably have because you're not me. What do you have, Troy?
I'm going to recommend the reissue of the Wonder Years 2015 album No Closer to Heaven. It just came out today as we're recording this, and it was fully remixed by Sam Guyana and remastered. And this is an album that I have always really, really loved, but I think for a lot of Wonder Years fans and a lot of people generally, this album was really, really hurt by a mix that felt kind of muffled and like just overcrowded and really lost what made these songs special. And it's like I love the band so much and I love the lyrics so much, and I think I can hear the great performances in that album that I could kind of look past the pretty rough mix. But hearing it is like hearing it in what everyone who worked on it, Steve Evans, the band all say, like, this is how it should have sounded all along. It really reveals what a great album it is. It actually makes me wonder, like, if this had been how the album came out originally, would the Wonder Years be an even bigger band than they are now? Which is entirely possible. So whether you're a Wonder Years fan or not, or if this is the album that sort of turned you off from them because of how it sounded, give them another chance. It is really, really good.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people listening to this version and being like, I think this album has moved up massively in my kind of ranking of the discography, which I love to see. I have not listened to this new version yet because I didn't have a chance to today, but I'm very excited to.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right. We will be back next week talking about the other album that came out on the same day in 2005, Digital Ash and a Digital Urn. And in the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram at noisefloorpod, find us on the internet at noisefloorpodcast.com, and send us email at noisefloorpodcast@gmail.com. And we will see you next week.
See you next week.